Good morning.
Good morning. It's October 8th, 2020. What year is it? 2023. And we're so glad you joined us today. We're going to be talking today about a paradox, and that is getting comfortable with discomfort. And I'm going to start with a reading from our founder, Ernest Holmes, called "Today I Expect and Accept Only Good." Knowing the truth leads me into a more abundant life. Today I affirm that with God, all things are possible. I am conscious that the reality of my being is not separated from the divine. I am not only one with God, God is also one with me and one in me. Deliberately, I turn to this inner self, knowing that it has no problems. It is never poor, sick, weak, or unhappy. Persistently, I practice the divine presence. I enter the gates of good with praise and thanksgiving, finding joy and fulfillment in everything I do. Complete prosperity is mine. Good is forever flowing, eternally manifesting itself to me. My good flows to me from every source because I recognize all sources as divine. My hands open to receive and remain open, that they may again give out and thus multiply the divine gifts. Today, the truth leads me into the possession of everything necessary to my well-being here on earth. When I discover the inner kingdom with its spiritual gifts, the material gifts that shadow forth this inner kingdom will also make their appearance. I now forget any wrong that may have appeared in my outer world, and turning with gratitude to that inner light, I think upon those things that are good. I no longer contend against people or events. In doing this, I become emancipated from my previous bondage. Today, everything in my experience is made new. Today, I expect and accept only good. And so it is. It always feels so good to read Ernest Holmes' writing, because we can get so focused on of what we don't like that's happening in our life or in our world. And, the basic thing that makes us unhappy is thinking it shouldn't ought to be that way. We should never be unhappy or uncomfortable or in pain. And when we are, we kind of do an ain't it awful.
We spend a lot of time, whether we mean to or not, assessing every situation and every condition that we're in. And a lot of our pain is based on the results of our assessment, not about the condition itself. So as you were saying, I have pain right now with my knee because I had knee surgery. And so there's a part of me that thinks I shouldn't have any pain ever. It just shouldn't exist. I don't need pain. I don't like pain. Therefore, pain is not allowed. I can't have it. So there's an internal dialogue that protests the pain that makes the pain worse. And when I say that, when you protest something that's in your body, it doesn't go away because of it, because the thing that you're protesting is making the sound or expressing itself the way it is in order to communicate something to you. And I thought about the knee as a great metaphor. Having knee surgery, the thing about it is it's major surgery to the knee. That is, they cut the leg off and put it back together again. Think about having your leg cut off and put back together again. The fact that you're asleep doesn't mean that the entire system doesn't recognize it's just gone through this. And so we sleep through a lot of events in consciousness that we don't want to deal with, that in fact the body will deal with. The body will, when have you gone through a very stressful day that you didn't think was that stressful and then had a restless night because your night was filled with your consciousness processing what went on. So what I'm suggesting is that for me, at least with the pain, is not to protest the pain, not to protest at all, but to simply say that's an expression that's necessary in order for this whole process.
Not in the lockbox.
And so when I put my hand on my knee and it's
I'm going to give one to Bonnie, maybe.
This is the heat of healing.
The key's not in the lock.
Rather than this shouldn't be, it's not right, I don't like it. So give up, if you can, the objection and ask yourself, how can I be the condition in a way that supports getting better, supports the outcome I'd like to see, The same thing that you're sitting in
that was
traffic
probably fucking.
and listen to
just them
yourself. I
interrupting
can't deal with this. This is
the
impossible. I don't believe
class.
this is
Good
happening to me.
God,
Why
I
is this happening?
apologize so much.
And notice how quickly the traffic
I
starts
think
parting for
can I
you.
kill myself? Will
You know,
it be okay?
nothing
Will that
moves.
help?
So what's happening is you're sitting in traffic and it's just a condition. You are now sitting in the middle of your condition of objection, the feeling of
Oh,
powerlessness
I know
that
what
you've
it
now
is. I know
massaged,
what
and
it
you're
is.
putting yourself out there to experience more of that. You're not actually having any problem at all with the traffic. The traffic's doing exactly what the traffic does. You're having a trouble with your assessment of you in relationship to it and how that should work. So pay attention this week if you can, as I will be doing too, the relationship to your objections to consciousness. What is it that you're objecting to? And could you say, oh, that makes sense to me, or must you take it on and battle it? And if you do, what's the outcome? How does that work?
So we all like to be out of pain and have everything running smoothly and happily
Clearly.
in our lives.
Clearly.
That's what that opening prayer was about, is affirming that and attract and with our words and our consciousness choosing to have more of that. But the truth is, this earth school is a place where we often learn through pain, and we often become better human beings through our painful experience, emotionally and physically. So our soul knew that when we signed up for this, and it's temporary from the soul's point of view. See, the soul is eternal. You're going to live forever as a soul. This is a little bitty bit in time, and we learn lessons evidently much more rapidly here and through our painful experiences as well as our joyous ones. So we have to realize that this is set up. It's not like something is wrong. God is not punishing us when we have bad things happen. Our biggest problem is the assessment that it shouldn't be this way. Carl Jung said something brilliant in a very short line. He said, so much unnecessary suffering comes into the world because people will not accept the, quote, legitimate suffering, unquote, that comes with being human. And the Buddhists explain it this way. They say, all life is suffering. Now, by that, they don't mean that the entirety of your life will be suffering, but there is suffering in every life. You know, it starts with childbirth. That's not fun for the baby or the mother, you know, so there is suffering, in and out episodes of that throughout life. And when we just have a fit about it and think it shouldn't be, or God's punishing us, or we're punishing ourselves, or something is wrong, we just add to the suffering. And the greatest teacher of that philosophy that I know is whose name I did not write, is Byron Katie, and she has a wonderful technique for talking yourself out of it. And it came to her naturally when she was ready to commit suicide. She was so depressed. Here she was, a mother with a career, a husband, 3 children, and she was so depressed she couldn't stand it. She wanted to kill herself. And the only place she could go that her insurance would pay for treatment was a recovery house. A recovery house for eating disorders. And so she went there for weeks. It was better that just to get away from home and whatnot. And she was just as miserable as ever. She found herself on the floor one morning because she did not feel worthy of sleeping in a bed. She felt she was not good enough to even take up a bed. And she noticed as her thoughts were coming, there was a part of her that was questioning every thought. Is that true? Do I absolutely know it's true? What if the opposite were true? And she found that in this questioning, she could turn her unhappiness around and be open to discovering something new about life. So it's a brilliant technique, and she has several books about it, and I've used it. I've used it on myself. I've used it with others. It is very effective. So we just have to watch what we're condemning, because it might be for us. It might be the best thing for us.
Our condemning is often a reaction to something we don't like. It isn't a thought out consideration. It's just an automatic reaction. We have an unspoken belief often, nothing bad should happen to me. Nothing difficult. There should be no pain in my
Well,
life.
especially after I
Right.
become a metaphysician.
Exactly. So that's the unspoken belief. Now an event occurs. The event itself is just an event. But what it means is, oh my God, if this event happened to me, what's in my consciousness? I've heard that 1,000 times. What's wrong with me rather than what's
Or
right?
what's wrong with my thinking?
Yeah, what's right with me that could help me right now solve this problem? But instead, where we go is, this happened to me because apparently I'm not a believer. I'm not this, I'm not a this, or I'm not a that. I tried so hard. I meditate every day. And I hear this from clients I work with. I meditate every day. I do yoga every day. I don't understand why I'm still in pain. I said, well, what if pain is a constant in your life that is a constant in all lives? And what we have to learn how to do is dance with it. If there's background noise in the world, you don't wait for it to stop so you can live your life. You do your best to speak louder than the background noise so you can be heard. So the background noise of pain is always there, even though we think it shouldn't be. Sometimes it's there quietly enough that we think it's no longer there and we no longer have to deal with it. But in fact, we all do. Somebody was in a movie we were watching a while back said, if you fall in love, you're going to have pain. What do you mean? Well, if you fall in love and you really love the person, one of you is going to die sooner or later and you're going to be left alone. Whoa, there's going to be pain. You can start experiencing it now, getting ready for it now, even get a second partner so you got a backup, do whatever you need to do. Or you can say, I will love the best I can. And when there's pain, I will manage the pain and I will love as much as I can because that's what I'm here for.
Exactly. I was remembering a patient that we had one time in a treatment center. And she said, I pray every day that my husband and I will die at the same time because I couldn't stand to live without him. Now, I'm sure that sounded like love to her. To me, it sounded very selfish. I thought, I wonder how he feels about that.
Judith, I don't want you to worry about anything. If I die, I'll take you with me.
Yeah, but that's not love. That's codependency.
Oh,
I need you
okay,
to
okay.
live. So that's not helpful. That's not even love. That's need.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I wanted to say that someone called me, a friend called me actually this week. And I know this is happening to a lot of people. So I need to just remind people. She wakes up sad, depressed. So many awful things going on in the world. And it shouldn't be this way. Same, it's horrible, knowing your friends and loved ones are suffering and the country's suffering and oh my God, what if, and all of that. Look what's happening in Europe with the war. But, you just have to say, stop. God created this world. And guess what? It's never been peaceful, harmony, everybody happy all at one time. Never. And so this must be the way it's supposed to be. And I reminded that unfortunately, we signed up to come here. That's not the unfortunate part. We signed up to come here. But unfortunately, we grow through pain. So don't take on more than is yours to take on. Don't take on the world. The world will take care of itself. And it is not helpful for you to get depressed because of it. So just accept that God knows what it's doing. It's creating life, and life comes with some hardships, and just accept that, and accept that it's all good, even when it doesn't feel good.
And it doesn't mean to do nothing, but to accept a condition. If I go out
Except
of
the things I cannot
right, if
change.
I go out to the car and the tire is flat, I can kick the tire. I can say this isn't fair. I can ask, why is the tire flat? None of which contributes at all to my accepting that the tire is flat, but I'm not flat. And I have the tools, or I can get the tools I need to make the repair. But until I stop thinking about how upset I am, or how this shouldn't happen to me, or what's wrong, or how this is going to delay me, until I set that aside, I can't attend to the condition, which is just a condition. The reason that the tire is flat is because you drove over a nail. It wasn't you to flatten the tire, it was the nail to flatten the tire. Well, if that's true, why do you make it about you? And we make almost everything about ourselves and then complain and get upset because it didn't work out.
I almost shared that what is called the serenity prayer. It's
Mm.
called the prayer, I believe this prayer of St. Francis, but it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Now that is really a powerful, wise prayer, because we do want to try to change the things that we can, and yet not let ourselves be dragged down in energy with the things we cannot change. And I'm talking about our country's political situation, except your vote, and the world's political situation. Don't allow the media and whatnot to bring you down. Turn it off, go outside, see people. We isolate ourselves with our media and think we're connected to the world, and we're not, and wonder why we feel lonely. So connect with other people. It's necessary. I did want to share, Bob was sitting here with his knee hurting. My knee hurts too. I just couldn't have him suffer alone. So I went out for a bike ride, and on my way back, fell onto my bike on the grass when my bike went off the sidewalk and skinned my knee terribly. The whole knee is skinned, and the skin is it's not a terrible injury. It just really hurts.
Mhm.
It just won't stop hurting. And I've got bruises all over my arm, and that's why I'm wearing long sleeves. Whoops, that didn't show. And a friend of mine said, that's why I won't bike. I just don't want to fall. And I thought, well, I'm willing to risk the fall because I love the biking, and I wouldn't have the joy of the biking if I weren't willing to risk a fall. I'll be more careful when I'm on the sidewalk that small, but I can focus on the pain of the knee, or I can just focus on the fact that it's healing.
Well, the interesting thing is, there's a lot of interesting pieces to that. But first off, you choose to ride, which means that you choose or you agree that you'll manage whatever conditions occur.
I had a helmet on.
Right. So yeah, exactly. You were prepared for a negative condition. What we can do is we can say, what are the risks involved in this thing I want to do in my life, whether it's emotional or psychological or physical? What are the risks to me, and can I manage that? You're a healer. You heal yourself. Our body heals. It breaks a little more easily now than it did, so we don't go as fast as we did.
I didn't break anything.
Exactly. So what we do is we start looking at not yes or no. Yes, now what do I need to do to make this a safe experience for me? Am I prepared for it? And if you do fall down, you can say, yep, that comes with the territory. So why did it have to happen to me? I know why Judith did it. She did it because I was getting too much attention.
Yeah.
But clearly,
We have matching knees now.
yeah, right. So it's not a perfect world, but it will be. So, but what's really, really important in that is to not make a judgment or an assessment that limits your ability to stay alive or be alive or truly experience yourself.
Or be happy. That's
Well, I
the
think of that of
important
aliveness.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, aliveness. That my thought with it really was, boy, I'm really lucky I didn't break anything. I'm so happy I didn't break anything. No bones broke, and I really do feel that way. I mean, I feel grateful, and that I could ride my bike home, and I wear a watch that says, oops, it looks like you fell, and
Time to get a new watch.
I get a new person.
Oh, we'll call 911, but first we're going to get you a new watch. The watch will be delivered before the ambulance gets there. It's only $799, but it's yours.
No, it wants a new person.
Yeah, I know.
But I
But I get one that
said,
doesn't fall.
Well, I like that because I know even I was out in a park. And so if I were to hurt myself, my watch will call 911. And I have
right.
my ID cards on me. So I feel safe even when I'm wandering through Quietwater Park.
I was going to go for a bike ride, and my watch said to me, why don't you just leave me here? I said, why? Because you're stupid. You can't go for a bike ride with your knee indication and leave the watch here. You don't need a watch. I said, I'll stay home. Yeah.
So I think the moral of our lesson here is that keep looking on the bright side. You know, bad things happen. They just do. Painful things happen. We wish they didn't, but they do. So there must be a reason for it. And so keep looking on the bright side. I don't like to see my loved ones have any problems, but guess what? They do. You know, so you just look for the good. Ernest Holmes used to say, look for the seed of equivalent benefit from any hardship. Okay, so this is hard. So that means there is a seed. That means the beginning of an equal benefit for you out of this. So look for that because it's there. It's there. And if you just quit, you know, complaining or saying, why me, or getting depressed, you'll probably find it. You will probably find it. And I'm not going to give up biking. It's one of my favorite exercises because I feel like a kid again when I'm going fast in the wind.
And you bruise like a kid, so you're good.
I go fast. I go fast. I do not lollygag when I bike.
This lollygagging thing went out in the 50s. I guess you can tell how old we are. Lollygagging. Really? Where did you get that?
What one of our congregants told me one time that she said, I get such a kick out of the way you talk because I'm finding out a lot of the things that my mother tells me not to say here in Florida are just things from the South. Like lollygag or hissy fit. Some of those things.
Oh, the hissy fits are always that's a clinical term.
Well, see, most people do a hissy fit when something happens, they're not happy. But our people, really, our metaphysicians tend to always look for the positive. They are not whiners, they are not complainers. Things happen and they go on and look for the good. Look for the good and praise it. Because it's always there. I'm going to close with another part by Ernest Holmes. And he says in the Science of Mind book, no matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there's always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice forever whispering within our ear. That thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings.
Love it.
So he's saying no matter what's happening in the physical, we can connect with the divine and know that all is well. And that's something that I heard actually in one of my most painful times when I was wondering what in the world to do with the painful situation. I heard this, all is well, all is well, even when it doesn't appear to be. So know that and remember it and say it to remind yourself, because we don't want to focus on the problem. We want to be open for the solutions. So with that, do you want to do a closing prayer?
Sure.
Okay.
Goodbye. Oh, sorry, I got it wrong. Okay. Well, I won't say come together because we are together. And I won't say collect your consciousness because it's already been well collected. But I will say is just allow me to speak for a few minutes as you listen. And as we go deep into the understanding that love is all there is and that it is everywhere present and that it is folded out into each experience as it blossoms into each experience, we see how it flowers, how it blossoms, and how it seeds the world. We often don't notice that and we see other conditions, but today we see only love. We see love as the seed of equivalent possibility for all good. We see that seed of love operating in and through us, growing us, blossoming and flowering again and again and again. And we know that we are an eternal seed of love and light. So we say thank you. Together we say, and so it is.
So it is. So let's take the recording off. Oh, no, we don't take the recording off.
We do share screen.
We do share screen.
And for those of you that would like to support this ministry, and we are going to be going live as well as being online. And because we're going to be going live and online, we are going to have considerably greater expenses. So for those of you that have been holding back thinking you'll support us later, please support us now. If you can support us in a larger way, that would be great, because it is going to be a big step for us to move into a rented space. And we know in the beginning, there won't be very many people. So,
You may know that, I don't.
well,
know
not more
that.
than 100. Okay.
So let's say our prosperity affirmation now as we give, because we know that as we give to the source of our inspiration, we receive our good. So let's say the part below, my investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply and returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is.
Wonderful.
So what Bob didn't say is you may give by going to our website, which is cslpalmbeaches.org, and click on this button saying ways to donate. And then we were happy to accept your donation. And we keep track of it and send you a contribution letter at the end of the year.
Okay, how do we